What's up, guys? It's Benny. Senator Fetterman, who's been making way too much sense as a Democrat in the Senate, has gone to the hospital with a life-threatening emergency. Let's cover this right off the top. Senator Fetterman rushed to hospital with heart problem, fell and bashed up his face. John Fetterman's rushed to the hospital with a sustained fall near his home in Braddock, Pennsylvania. Apparently bashed his face into a mirror when he lost consciousness due to a ventricular flare-up. Now, what is a ventricular flare-up? Let's go ahead and check here, please. This flare-up is a sudden medical emergency that involves the heart's lower chambers quivering instead of pumping blood, leading to the loss of consciousness almost immediately. Cardiac arrest, which of course is a heart attack. Symptoms can include chest pain, dizziness, nausea, and rapid irregular heartbeat. Immediate action is critical. You got to call 911. You got to restore the heart's rhythm, otherwise you'll die. A person experiencing this will lose consciousness quickly and collapse. That's exactly what happened to John Fetterman. The symptoms may occur immediately or before the event. Chest pain, dizziness, nausea, rapid heartbeat problems, shortness of breath. And that's what it is. It's an irregular heartbeat. So it kind of looks like that. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue to read. Where is John Fetterman now and what's going on? The ventricular flare-up in this context refers to an episode of ventricular arrhythmia, an abnormal heart rhythm that can lead to sudden cardiac arrest and can cause the heart to stop pumping blood entirely, then you'll die. The medical episode caused the 56-year-old lawmaker to feel lightheaded and then fall directly to the ground, hitting his face, and he has minor injuries following the incident. Fetterman issued a cheeky statement saying, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait till you see it now." His latest medical scare comes after he opened up about thinking about quitting politics following a terrifying stroke in 2022. In 2022, he was hospitalized for months after a stroke. He went into Congress as a far left-wing Democrat and then returned from his hospitalization as a centrist, somebody who wants to close the borders, somebody who wants to prosecute corrupt members of his own party, somebody who described President Trump's cabinet picks as God-tier trolling.
I would describe it as God-tier level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
You could tell John Fetterman likes Donald Trump. John Fetterman also saying that he's left.
I'm not a progressive. I'm a Democrat.
Progressive Party.
What is that distinction? Because I'm always, I don't think I've used the word progressive. I think I've said woke. I think there's a big difference between woke, and I know that word triggers a lot of people because it had a great beginning as a meaning, but words migrate, and it went to something else. I think there's a big difference between an old school liberal and a woke person. You say progressive Democrat. How do you describe this?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like I've just say, and I've been saying that for years, actually. I said that, I didn't leave the label. It left me on that.
Right.
And that really, after it happened on October 7th, I was really knew that that whole progressive stack would be blasted apart, and there's not going to be any kind of way how the Democrats are going to be able to reply to that kind.
So John Fetterman saying he's not a progressive, he's an old school Democrat, but those don't really exist anymore. And John Fetterman obviously getting attacked savagely by his own party for wanting to reopen the government. And the latest in a long series of attacks against Fetterman for kind of moderating to the right, I think you would say, on a number of issues. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fox News
Senator
report
Fetterman's
from
team during an
the
early
collapse.
walk, he sustained a fall near his home. Out of an abundance of caution, he was transported to a hospital. Upon evaluation, it was established he had a ventricular fibrillation flare-up that led to him feeling lightheaded, falling to the ground, and hitting his face with minor injuries. Senator Fetterman, always in good spirits, always an optimist, quipped to his team, "If you thought my face looked bad before, wait until you see it now." And then he thanked the EMTs. Our prayers to Senator Fetterman. America reports.
See how, the right handles these kind of things? John Fetterman is from a red state, you would argue, right? Pennsylvania voted twice for Donald Trump, 2016, 2024. You could say that John Fetterman could be replaced by a Republican senator, and a Republican senator just flipped a seat in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is going the way of Florida. It's a very good thing. So you have, like, as the on the right, you'd have every reason to sit here and to bang our chest and bang the drums and say, wow, we really hope that something bad happens to John Fetterman, right? Like we could get a Republican Senate seat out of it. No, we say pray for him. That's my entire timeline. This is the difference between us and the animals. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the difference. We're willing to put aside partisan politics and power politics for humanity that still exists in some very far-reaching corners of the internet. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen this, obviously. I hope he makes a full recovery. John is a good man, doing well after observation. So you have like Republican accounts, like conservative accounts, effectively celebrating John Fetterman. You could argue that obviously you shouldn't venerate somebody who does vote against the Republican Party like 90%, 99% of the time. I don't know. But nonetheless, he's a lot less radical than a ton of Democrats are. And you can see this since he gets booed on The View, right? So John Fetterman voted to open up the government. And he's also one of these guys who said, like, just give people space to grieve with Charlie Kirk. And he gets attacked viciously by the left for it.
Surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue this shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that.
So John Fetterman, just having the logical opinion here, gets him booed on The View. It's going to be really exciting to watch the Democrat Party infighting. It's happening at scale. If you know where to look, it's very entertaining. Glad to hear that Fetterman is okay, but he better be careful. If that guy keeps falling down in public, Democrats will nominate him for president. And then here we go, this account. Which John Fetterman will we get next? All of the new John Fettermans that we got after certain hospitalizations. Just saying, last time Fetterman was hospitalized, which one? Can't we laugh again? Yeah. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.